Hello esteemed viewer, I am Trainer Nick and welcome to Trainer Nick Builds. Now I really enjoy creating and building props and other things from film, TV series, you know, anything. I do it all the time, I love doing it. Well, I used to do it all the time, it's hard to afford it now. See, I just enjoy doing it. This is my arc reactor, it's pretty cool. I've also at some point made Tony Stark's Iron Man repulsor gloves. I have even made Loki's scepter for that one Halloween that I went as Loki to. That was pretty exciting too. And as you can probably see behind me, what this video is going to be about, I've just made Majora's mask. So, this video will tell you how I did it. So the first thing you need to do is figure out your sizing, and for that, I use this picture of myself in the Jason Voorhees mask, because I know that the Jason Voorhees mask fits my head perfectly. It actually fits my face very perfectly, so I use the sizes of that, and then I overlay the Majora's Mask photo to figure out how big it needs to be. And I figure out from that it needs to be 33.5 centimeters at the base, and 31.5 across. So then we use that to make the template, and my template, I usually make just half of it as a template because I want it to be symmetrical on, so it's the same on both sides. So I do the one half in paper, cut it out, and then I stick it down and draw around it, trace around it into the cardboard, which is going to serve as the main base. So first you do one side, then you just flip it over and do the other. And I'm using cardboard because it's what I had available at the time. I'd prefer to use styrofoam, mostly because it is a lot easier to cut out in the end, which would have helped me a lot here. See, this is the cutting process, and this is just for one layer of the mold, which I'm now creating. And it takes quite some time. This is sped up to 1000 times normal speed, and it's still the largest portion of this video is the cutting part. Well, second largest. The painting takes forever as well. But yeah, if this was in styrofoam, it would have been a lot easier. Styrofoam is a very useful thing for making molds, so if you're going to be doing something like this, you want to get your hands on that. So I've obviously just using my Stanley knife to get in there and cut out the parts of the mask. Still taking quite a long time, but eventually I get it out, and that gives me one layer of the mask base, which I will later go around with other stuff. So now I've got my layers done, which I skipped ahead of, and to get the mold fully completed, I've just taken my layers and taped them up together. So you can probably see here, the layers actually go in a contour shape. So now I've got my full thing, just draw some decorations on it, and now it is time to plaster. Now you can use paper mache if you want, it's probably cheaper than the plaster cloth that I use. I use plaster cloth because I like it to have a bit of a structure and stability, also because plaster can be sanded, whereas paper mache cannot. So, what you want to do is you want to get your plaster cloth or your paper mache. If you're getting plaster cloth, get it from a art shop, and you just go around the mold that you've now made, and as you can see, it starts to come up nicely. It gets very, very messy, so you want to have something to clean yourself up with later. Check it out, have a look at it. You need to go around it a few times, and you'll want to put on a few layers if you want any sort of thickness. You don't want it to just fall apart as soon as you pick it up, so you want it to do a few layers. And you need to go around the spikes of the mask so that they actually completely end up plastered. Plastered. Sounds like I'm telling it to get drunk. Anyway, after you finish that off, show it to the camera, put a few more layers on, and then when that's done, you'll want to get up and leave it to dry, because the plaster does need to dry. And the plaster will usually take an overnight to dry, so while you're doing that, clean up, and then we get to the next part. Now, I tried to cut the cardboard out of it, because obviously I want to put my face in there. It was taking forever, so I went and got my blowtorch. Well, not my blowtorch, my pop's blowtorch. If you are going to blowtorch, make sure you are safe, because that is fire, it is dangerous. If you are like me, you have a pop who wants to blowtorch for you, so that's fine too. But finally, that's all done, and we get to do the stenciling part. So the stenciling is where we're going to put the design of the mask onto the actual plaster so that we can paint it later. Another thing with the blowtorching, though, is you have to be careful to not destroy the plaster with it. So after you've put your basic design on there, you'll want to go over it with a black marker just so it, stands out a bit more, which is important. I'm really lucky. I have grandparents who have all of the arts and crafts stuff, so I can borrow theirs. If you don't have something like that, you've probably got to go out and buy it. So we stencil, we put all the markings on it, and then after that, we get to do the painting, which will come up shortly after all of the design has been put on. Majora's Mask is deceptively full of design, but we're finally up to painting. So I'm doing the purple first. You can start with whichever colors you like. I chose to start with purple because it has the most amount of surface area. Then I went for the red. There was a lot of mixing of paints and a lot of trial and error. You'll want a few different kinds of brushes. For the purple and other places where the color is actually really large, you want a thick brush. You'll also want a thin brush for the tighter spots of the mask, and then you'll want a really thin a really thin paintbrush, because later on I do some outlining with black, which is what I'm doing now. So I actually painted long enough that I got up, got a drink. The camera actually ran out of battery in between, which was how long it took to paint this. But as you can see, it's starting to turn out really nicely there. I did realize that I made a bit of a mistake. I put some purple where there wasn't meant to be purple. But there we go. It ended up looking fine. I just went up with green. So after that, you drill some eye holes, because you need to see through it. And then you just put some elastic on, which I'm doing with my hot glue gun and some elastic I've got.
So that's how I made Majora's Mask. Now, if I were going to do a few things differently, this is the evaluation stage of the design process. Well, first of all, I'd make it a bit more comfortable. It's not very comfortable to wear. I'd also like it if I could make it so that the eyes glowed, which obviously wouldn't work with the plaster, but I might do it in a different way for Halloween. If I do, I'll let you know. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Are you?
So I'm Trainer Nick, and that was the first Trainer Nick Builds. Next time, I think I'm going to do some sort of weaponry. I haven't done a weapon in a while. I'm looking forward to it. Do you have any suggestions? Comment below. Tell me what I should do. This is Trainer Nick, and happy building!